Let's talk Tanya for the 11th day of the first Adar. We're in the process of discussing mivachenle, the idea of crushing the ego, which the Alter Rebbe explains is the antidote, it's the remedy for tumtum halev, when a person is unable to generate excitement and passion in their service of God. And yesterday's Tanya, we explained that how do we arrive at a crushing of the ego? It's through contemplating our essential lowliness. And very specifically, the Alter Rebbe spoke about the fact that what is our identity? Our identity is that of the animal soul. Now, as we said yesterday, this is true about people who are the strugglers. How about tzaddikim? How about holy people? By them, that's not the case. Their identity actually is the godly soul. And with this, the Alter Rebbe explains an interesting medrash. The medrash says that the great sage, the sage of the Mishnah, his name was Hillel, that when he left class, so the students asked him, Rebbe, where are you going? And he said, sorry, I have to leave. I have to go do a favor. I have to do some kindness for someone. And when they pressed him further and they said, who are you going to do a favor for? To who do you have to do, for whom do you have to do this gemilas chasadim, this kindness? He responded, I need to go eat. I need to do a favor for my body. And Alter Rebbe says that this wasn't just semantics or playing with words. Hillel genuinely considered his body and his bodily needs to be like a stranger. He's doing kindness to his body. Why? Because his essential identity was that of his godly soul. So the desire to daven, to pray, and to learn Torah, to do mitzvahs, to serve God, those were the desires that he identified with most deeply, and the needs of the body were considered secondary. He almost viewed them as if they were the needs of a stranger. That's the way it is by a tzaddik, but by the rest of us, who are we fooling? The needs of the body and our own needs, our own selfhood is not secondary. That's who we are. That is our identity. This is why, earlier on in Tanya, when the Alter Rebbe introduced the two souls, the Alter Rebbe says, the first soul is the animal soul, and then he says, Va'nefesh hashenis, the second soul is the godly soul. Why is the godly soul the second soul? You think the godly soul is so much more important. It should be soul number one. But the answer is, in terms of identity, it's my second identity. It's not my primary identity. There's this song, which is sung by Chassidim, which goes, Essen ess sich, schlafen schlaft sich, was soll man tun, als daven sich nicht? And it translates loosely to something like, when it comes to eating, I eat. That's natural. When it comes to sleeping, I sleep. I have no difficulty or trouble with it. But when it comes to davening, daven sich nicht. Davening is not so simple. Davening, it's a struggle. It's not natural to me. And the reason for this is, and the song is lamenting this, because our default identity is that of the animal soul. And again, contemplating this idea that my default identity is that of the animal soul. When I wake up in the morning, my first automatic thoughts are, I, me. I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I need to get dressed, I need to go to work, I. And then at a certain point, we hear the voice of the godly soul in the background saying, hello, you got to daven, you got to pray. Hello, you got to do a mitzvah. But that's not the most natural identity that we have. So that means that our natural identity is that of the God, of the animal soul. And taking some time to think about that truly has the ability to crush one's ego. Now, that might be the reality. And I think that by now, hopefully we're convinced of this, that that's the truth. The truth of the matter is that our primary identity is that of the animal soul. But I would imagine that for some of you listening in, it still doesn't sit very well. And is that really the message of Chassidus to me? That my primary identity is the animalistic nature of my animal soul? So in tomorrow's Tanya, hopefully, we'll get a little more clarity on this topic.